What's up guys, I'm Josh Mosiman and this is our 2024 Honda CRF450 tested video. This bike weighs in at 233 pounds with a retail price of $9,699. The MXA Wrecking Crew has raced this bike all over the United States this past year. We know a lot about this bike, and in this video, we're gonna talk to you guys about the pros and cons of the Honda 450. So let's have Ezra Lewis gear up and show us how to look good on this bike. The Honda 450, it's a peculiar machine. We like to say that if you ride it to 80% of your capability, you'll be happy and having a lot of fun on the CRF450. If you push past that, no matter if you're pro, vet rider, novice, intermediate, if you push past your comfort level of 80% and try to go all out on this machine, you're gonna have to make sure the thing is perfectly tuned to you because it's easy to make mistakes on the Honda CRF450. I like to say that this bike is amazing for cornering, amazing for throwing whips off the jumps and looking cool on the track, but the front end is very twitchy and it's easy to make mistakes on. It's easy to tuck the front end in the corner and it takes some effort to get this bike perfectly set up for you. We try to get more stability out of the stock Honda 450. We lower the sag on the rear, we drop the forks out, make them a little bit stiffer, doing all these things to try to get more straight line stability. When I talk about the 80% rule, take a look at Jet Lawrence and Chase Sexton, both factory Honda riders, both riders who have access to the same parts. Chase Sexton obviously has had quite a few crashes on the Honda 450. He's been very verbal about not liking the 450 at times from Honda, and we also know that he's moving to KTM very soon for the 2024 season. Jet Lawrence, he loves this thing. He made it look easy, winning every single moto in the outdoors this summer. Both riders are on the same bike, obviously different settings, they can tailor it to themselves, but what's the difference? Jet Lawrence rides it within his comfort zone. He's smooth and methodical on the Honda 450. He doesn't push it too hard, and that's why he's able to be successful on it. To further prove my point about Jet Lawrence, he actually said it in the post-race press conference at the Redbud National after winning both motos. He gave his secret away. He said, hey guys, I'm not the strongest rider on the track and I'm new to the 450 class. This bike is a lot faster than what I'm used to, the 250 4-stroke from Honda. So because of that, I can't push it too hard. I have to respect the power or else it will spit me off. So he knows that he has to ride 80%. He has to ride in his comfort zone, wherever that is for that day. And that's how he was able to win every single moto this year outdoors. Another thing to note, the AMA Supercross and Motocross that we have here in the States, they have a production rule to where they're supposed to race bikes that are based off of the production bike. They can't change the frame too much. They can't change anything on the bike like they can at the MXGP series over in Europe. Here in the US, they have to stay towards the production bike and ride something that's very similar to what you can buy at the dealership. The best updates that Honda did to their 450 last year were at the engine, making it smoother and easier to ride on the track. The air boot is now longer. The throttle body is now smaller. It went from 46 to 44 mil. The intake ports, they're also smaller as well, as the valves got some new valve timing to work with these adjustments. Basically, Honda did things to slow down the air going into the engine to make the bike smoother, easier to ride on the track, and that is a huge plus. They made this bike much better, and that's the biggest selling point for the 23 and 24 models. Some of you guys who own older Hondas, I think it was 2021 and 2020, 60 horsepower engines in the 450 class. That's way too fast and very hard to hold on to. When I say way too fast, it's way too fast for a Honda because of this frame and because of that head shake that I talked about earlier. Honda has made changes to slow this bike down, make it easier to ride. On the dyno, it hits 56.3 horsepower, which is equal to last year's Kawasaki KX450. Obviously, Kawasaki has an all-new bike coming for 2024. We've yet to get our hands on that. This bike only beats out the Suzuki on the dyno currently. That bike hits 54.8 horsepower, so slightly below the Honda. However, the good thing about it, 56 horsepower is a sweet spot for this bike, and it makes it smoother, easier to ride on the track, and that's something we appreciate about this Honda 450, and that's my favorite aspect about this bike. One of the complaints about the 22 CRF450 was that it was wallowy in the rear. They upped the spring rate, like I mentioned, to 56 in the rear shock spring. Now it overrides the forks in stock form. Like I mentioned already, head shake, twitchy on the front end. Some simple fixes that I would do if I was racing this brand new stock bike this Saturday here at Glen Helen. I would lower the sag in the rear to about 107. It's a good starting point to drop your rear end a little bit lower. I would also drop the forks so that it'd be flush in the clamps all the way down, putting more weight on the rear end, taking weight off of the front end. Additionally, I would get in here and tighten the poor man's steering device, the steering head stem, tighten it as tight as I can because that's gonna give me more stability in the front end as well. Steering dampeners, those things are money on a Honda 450. I haven't ran one in a while, but I used the poor man's steering dampener, and that's what works for me. When I raced the Nationals, I added a lot of parts on this thing, and I went to AHM suspension. Brandon over there, he knows Hondas very well, and he got me dialed in for the Nationals. We used Pro Circuits linkage with his suspension. Pro Circuits linkage creates a more plush and linear suspension feel in the rear shock. Right now, it's a little bit harsh up top, and then it blows through the stroke. And it also applies a lot of pressure to the front end, like I mentioned with the stock linkage. Pro Circuit, softer on top, and gets linear and more progressively stiffer as you go deeper in the stroke. I also switched out the triple clamps on this bike, and I went with Ride Engineering's 23.5 offset triple clamps. Basically what that did was brought the front end just out a little bit more, adding more stability on the bike. It also has split triple clamps, which allow the forks to work a little bit better, not so much binding, and overall help this bike big time. A couple other things about the Honda 450. This is not a video game controller. No, it won't control your TV at home. This is the map switch on your CRF450. It's got a lot of options here. Blue button is to switch between the maps. Map 1, standard. Map 2, 2 flashing lights. That's the smooth, mellow map. And map 3, 3 flashing lights, aggressive. I played with them today. They do have a difference, and I appreciate that. It's not drastic, not night and day between smooth, mellow, and aggressive, but it is a nice options to have. It also comes with traction control for starts, and then the red button obviously is for killing the bike. Some of the factory teams, I believe they take this off because I've heard some riders, even on the Moto Concepts team, when they're hitting jumps and leaning forward, they've actually shut their bike off before, so that's very dangerous. One thing you definitely need to replace if you buy a Honda 450 is the 1.1 radiator cap. I recommend Twin Air Power Flow 1.8 radiator cap. Also, if you have really big feet, look for an extended shift lever. The shift lever is a little bit closer to the bike on the Honda than it is on any other model. Lastly, the rider triangle, foot peg to seat, seat to handlebar, and dimensions are amazing. This geometry on the Honda 450 is something that everybody copies. Even KTM has looked to copy this rider triangle, and that's why everybody likes how comfortable it is to sit and ride on the Honda 450. To any of my friends who are asking me about buying a Honda 450, I always tell them to save money to get the suspension revalved and sprung for them. There are some bikes that you can buy and have fun with the stock suspension, no matter if you're novice, vet, intermediate, or pro. The Honda 450 is not one of them. You need to get the suspension set up for you. However, the best selling point about this bike is the smooth and controllable power band with this engine. If you're a rider who knows that you're gonna get the suspension set up for you and you want an engine that is ultra reliable and ultra smooth coming out of the corners, this is one of the best in class, and that's the biggest selling point about this bike. All right guys, well I told you what I like and what I don't like about the Honda 450. Now if you're on YouTube, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you like and don't like about this video and what you want to know about it. We have lots of articles on motocrossactionmag.com. We will also have a full MXA 450 shootout coming where we're going to put this bike up against the rest of the 450 class. So to learn more about this bike and some of the products we've tested on it, check out our website and also subscribe to the magazine to stay tuned with more testing on this bike and comparing it with the rest of the 450s in the class. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next video.